Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
I'm very well. Yourself?
I'm fine. So
Great.
today we are talking about how to build stronger relationships, and we just want to find out why these days most people prefer texting or sending emojis instead of actually talking. From your experience, are we losing the art of real connection in relationships?
To a larger extent, I would say yes, we are losing, real connection because of all these apps that smartphone has brought us. So smartphone started with BlueBerry, and we were, testing on BlueBerry, and then WhatsApp came, and then Snapchat came, Instagram came. Almost all these apps gives a way of chatting without necessarily talking to the person or calling the person. And so over the years since these apps started coming, a lot of us have drifted off actually picking the phone and calling or actually going to people and talking. We've drifted to, chatting, and there's a downside to it because it takes away a lot of things. And so, yes, we are losing a lot of and understanding when it comes to communication in relationship because of all the chatting we are doing instead of real time talking.
So, so as a relationship aspect, how important is face-to-face communication compared to digital chatting?
Well, the first thing with in person conversation or talk is that you get to look the person in the eyes. You get to see the person's face, their gestures,
Right.
their facial expression, the tone of voice they are using. And that gives a deeper meaning and understanding than when you text. What I've realized is when you text, there's a lot of misunderstanding when you text because people can read grammar even wrongly than the way you meant it to be. And so I think a lot of conflict is creeping into relationship more because of texting. Because sometimes, you're okay in a text will be different from if you're looking at the person and says, okay. So the fact that we don't see people's eyes, their face, their facial expression, their gestures, and their demeanor when they are texting sometimes leaves a lot to think through whether the person is at a warm state when they are testing to you or they are not feeling warm about you. And so when you see someone and you are communicating, there's some relaxation and trust in what they are telling you because you are seeing them and you trust what they are telling you, you believe what you are hearing. But when people are texting, all these components are out. You don't see their eyes, you don't see their smile, their facial expression, their gestures, the tone of voice. You don't see all that. And so it leaves a lot to decide for you to get the real impact of conversation when people are texting.
Okay. Daniel Lamte. Hello, Daniel.
Yes, I'm on the line.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing well. What about you?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. So we are talking about how to build stronger relationship. Why this generation we prefer more text to talk, and we are just trying to find out how important is face-to-face communication compared to digital chatting. What's your take on it, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Ariel said a lot. Um, you see, me as a communication person, per se, we believe communication is not just about what you are saying, but the gestures actually count. So when I'm talking to you, I look into your eyes and I can just say, okay, this person is probably speaking the truth. You look at the person's gestures, you look at how the person is feeling, and those are the real ingredients of communication. However, in testing, all these ingredients are missing. So you test me, how are you in the morning? I write, I'm fine. Meanwhile, I may not be fine. And one of the thing that this thing has actually led to is people unconsciously constantly lying because they know whatever he writes may not, you are not there to see. So it's just, and you don't feel what the person is going through. So most people end up telling lies, mostly unconsciously, and we are gradually joking with this, and it ends up telling into our real life situation, and that has been the bane of testing over oral communication. And you see a lot of relationship currently are actually going on the rocks because of this. Because sometimes even when the person writes, you may not actually believe the person, and it's really 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 very tough. Although technology has come to help us, I think it is one of the disadvantages that we face, and we should face it, but we also look at ways to deal with it. So those are my preliminary statements.
Oh, okay. So, can emojis and short messages ever truly capture how we feel, or do they sometimes create more confusion?
It's like I said, it's turned into lots of people unconsciously lying. Sometimes it may capture how we feel, but most of the times you want the person to feel a certain way about you, so you write something that you are actually not expressing. So and just recently in one of my law classes, my lecturer was giving us an example that a man was traveling with a wife. The wife said he wanted to go. He says, "No, I'm going alone to Dubai." He goes there. In the middle of the enjoyment, he texts the wife, "I'm really enjoying here. I wish you were here." You see, there was a missing E. Just "I wish you were here," and then he
Yeah.
just wrote, "I wish you were here." And currently, this issue is in court. This is a real life situation.
Whoa.
These are some of the problems that communication may end up causing. For all you may know, that is not what the man actually wanted to express. So distortion, mistakes end up giving the wrong signals. Even our own self end up giving the wrong signals. So it's really not the best that we can speak. But like
Okay.
I said, it's a matter of the conscious effort, but it's really creating lots of problems, and it does not mostly express the real emotions that we want to express in our communication.
Okay. Ariel, are you still there with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, I want us to talk about active listening. How can it change the dynamics of a relationship or friendship?
Okay, so if I get your question right, you're asking about active listening.
Yes, please.
That is when we are in person.
Yes.
Okay. Thank God we have stopped testing and we're already in person.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be good for us to get more personal, more connected in person. I mean, there's one thing I've been telling people. Anywhere I go to all these organizations and they say, "Have you downloaded our app?" I tell them, "I don't want to download your app. I want to come to the office and interact with people. I want to connect with people." So it is very important, so much so that even few things we do that we have to step out of our houses to, I mean, engage with people, we are now doing them all on apps, and it's not helping anybody. We're drifting and drifting away. So this conversation is very, very important. If we are in person and we want to practice active listening is about paying attention to what the person is saying and understanding them instead of just thinking about how to respond to what they are saying. A lot of times we don't understand what people are saying. We are only thinking about how do I respond? What do I say? Okay, this is what I'm going to say. But active listening involves being quiet, giving the person the space to express themselves, finish with what they are saying, and not judge them for what they are feeling. Now, a lot of times we feel what people are feeling is not right, but no, that is what they feel. So you have to allow them to express themselves, listen to them, let them know you understand what they have said. And then you can also share what you feel. But if you are not listening well, you always downplay people's feeling and tell them, oh, I don't think what you are saying is right. You shouldn't feel this way. As soon as you tell someone you shouldn't feel this way, you are trying to help suppress what they feel. So active listening involves giving people the chance to express themselves, say everything they want, listen to them without judging, and then you also express yourself. And then you can both communicate effectively. Communication is you give a message to someone, they listen and give a response. It's a two-way thing. And you have to allow the other person to feel heard. Most of the time we are not listening. We just hear that somebody is talking and we are thinking while they are talking. So active listening means being also empathetic about the person. Empathy means be in the person's shoe and understand what they are saying without letting them feel what they are saying is not what you would say. What you would say is different. That is what they want to say, and that respect has to be given to them.
Right. So, what are some common communications mistakes you've noticed among couples or even friends?
And like some of the simple ones is if it's in texting, then sometimes we don't really express the true meaning of what we want to say, and it's because texting makes us write shorter. But if you're in person with people, some of the mistakes we make is like we started, we don't empathize to understand when people are talking about where they are. But where people are and where you are two different things. And so a lot of times conflict comes in relationship because people always think what you are saying or what you are feeling is not justified. But it is justified because that is where they are. That is how they might have understand what you said or what you didn't say. Your communication, your tone, your facial expression, your gestures, your demeanor. That is how they might have thought about it, or whatever you are going through. That is their experience. And so, a lot of time when we downplay what people are asking of us or expressing, it always makes people hold back, and then it starts affecting our communication relationship because they know that if I come and tell David or Daniel how I feel, what I'm thinking, or how this affects me, they're going to downplay it. And so then gradually we start withdrawing, we start disconnecting, and then communication starts breaking down.
Okay. So, Daniel, are you still here with us?
I'm here with
Yes,
you.
I'm here.
Okay, okay. So, honesty, openness sounds simple, but why do so many people struggle with them in close relationships?
Uh, will you come again? I didn't get you.
Honesty and openness sound simple, but why do so many people struggle with them in open or close relationships? What do you think is accounting for that?
See, when it comes to honesty, dealing with people honestly, you have to be honest to yourself in the first place. Unfortunately, we've not been honest to ourselves, and that is the main reason we end up lying and we mostly are not open to people. Because if you are asked, I keep telling people the truth is always one. It is only when you lie the first time that you always have to be figuring out what you said the first time. So once you lie for the first time, you just lose that level of honesty. The next time you are asked the question, you have to figure out what you said the last time. And once you lie once, it keeps happening. It repeats itself because you have to always lie to defend the first lie that you told. So the first thing when it comes to honesty is just to be honest to yourself in the first place. Once you are dealing with people, just let your integrity lead. This is what I want. And if you don't want the person in a relationship, you always start with, you don't go in for someone because of any form of convenience. So if you don't like the person in the first place, you don't even start. For it to be that at the middle of the relationship, you have to start telling lies because you figured out something else, you figured out something you don't like. And that is the key thing. And one of the major reasons that we are struggling in our relationship today is because we are just not being honest to ourselves. And once you are not honest, openness become an issue because you are always covering issues. You are always covering things. I I have a friend who always complains anytime the girlfriend is out and he calls, the lady doesn't speak. So you see, the honesty here is if you have told the person, I'm going to the market, and you are actually at the market, there is no way the person will call you that you would refuse to pick the calls. If you tell the person, I'm going to see this friend, and you're actually there, there is no way the person will call you and you are not going to pick the call. Unfortunately, most people are not honest to themselves. They lie in the first place, and once you tell the first lie, you would always have to cover up to make up for those lies, and that is what we have has made most of us very dishonest. And because of that, once dishonesty sets in, there is no way you are going to be open to your partner and or even your friend, because you know at any point in time you have to cover up for something.
Okay. Ariel, do you share in the same view or you think otherwise?
To a large extent, yes, I share the same view. I mean, sometimes we think we give excuses just because we want to cover up something, and then it becomes a lie, and then we keep continuing to lie about simple things. I always tell people, if you know you can tell me this if I find out in 2 months time, don't wait for me to find out in 2 months time, tell me now. Because if I find out in 2 months time before you are trying to let it seem like it's nothing, then trust, you're breaking trust. So it's always important for us to be very honest with our partners, our friends, our family members. And like Daniel is saying, you have to know how to be honest with yourself, to be honest with people. And being honest with ourselves is one challenging aspect of personal development, because to develop, you need to accept where you are faulty, your weaknesses, so that you can work on yourself to grow. And so when people are not fully conscious or aware of their to develop themselves, they're already in dishonesty with themselves. And it breeds and creeps into all relationship in our lives because we ourselves can't be honest with ourselves.
Okay. So how can families, especially in this fast-paced digital world, rebuild stronger communication habits at home?
I would say we should try and create time to talk in person. One,
Okay.
call. If you're in a relationship, you are not married, at least once a day you should give each other a call, not only chatting. And chatting can be the easy things. How is your day going? What's happening? Have you eaten? Oh, the nice things. But when it comes to important conversations, I think sometimes we should consciously make time to give a call, and,
Okay.
and talk about some of those things, and connect on a more deeper level than just texting throughout the day. And then we go off to bed, get up in the morning, texting again and again. But it looks like it's become easy to be drawn into it. So it takes some effort to engage in proper communication and in person, calling or meeting. I think one of the things we can also do is, if you know something is very important, don't start the conversation on chat. Wait to see your friend or partner in person and then talk about it, because testing can take away so much, and it can escalate problems as well. Sometimes I've seen it before. It can escalate problems. It breeds um, another thing that testing can breed is manipulation. Yes, I mean, you can be manipulated through texting instead of when you're talking to people in person. So something is important, make time to talk in person. Once a day, make time to call and talk on phone or meet each other to talk about, important things. Don't leave everything to the texting apps.
Okay. So Daniel, how can we rebuild stronger communications habits at home?
Well, it takes a conscious effort. So you have to make that conscious effort, even if you have to make time and say, okay, I have to call my partner, my friend,
Okay.
twice or three times a day. Um, you wake up in the morning. Mostly, I don't even like good morning messages. I would prefer I call the person, how are you, good morning, how are you, how was your night, what are you eating for the day. And it starts with the planning of the day. So if you make this conscious effort, in the first place, in the morning, you've gotten to figure out what is wrong with the person. You've spoken about how the day is going to be. If something happens up or something happens during the day and you're unable to call, you just test. Testing is usually for the convenience of it. That's why even when it comes to SMS, it's a short message testing. So it's just for the convenience of it sometimes. So the effort should be made that when I wake up in the morning, the first thing, it is a call to the partner, to the people important to me. How are you? How are you doing? What are you going to eat? That you just then later on in the day, you can just call. How is your day going? If you're in a meeting and for that reason you cannot make a call, you can simply test how is your day going. I'll call you after my meeting, and that really makes sense. It really shows yes, there is an effort that you are doing. When you are going to sleep, at least these three calls, these three forms of communications are good enough. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening when you are going to sleep, you just do that call so that at least the person knows you really care and you really feel from the tone what is actually happening. But if it continues to be text messages in the morning, good morning, how are you? You really wouldn't be able to figure out what the person is going through, and you may once you miss the morning feeling, the morning emotions, you may probably end up missing the rest. And that's the most important thing. Just make that conscious
Okay.
effort and decide, make it a decision. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Okay. So for Ariel, for someone who feels their relationship has become too digital, what are some practical steps they can take to reconnect emotionally?
First is to start calling each other more often. And like Daniel is saying, it's a conscious effort. Create 3 times a day to call and talk in person. It will be difficult at the beginning because you've been testing for so long. But if you really want to, become more connected, really hear each other's truth, you have to schedule your calls 3 times a day to start with. Yes, morning, afternoon, and evening. Especially when you are not living together. Yes, you have to schedule these calls to engage in person and also make time to meet. I think texting is also sometimes taking away date night, going out and spending time together and doing fun things. You have to schedule fun things to do together. Make a rule that when we are together, there are no phones. You go out and you see a couple sitting down and both of them are on their phone. It's funny. So you need to some structures and boundaries in place when it comes to phone. So call each other 3 times a day, schedule dates nights, schedule fun times, and when you are together, make sure you always go off your phone. Hold hands, touch each other, hug each other, talk in person, look at each other's face, be patient and listen actively. That is where you start from. And then before you know, you gradually be shifting away from testing and testing and testing. I think it's a good thing we are talking about this because it's really, really a big problem.
Okay, Daniel. So practical steps. Should we still be hugging each other and putting our phone somewhere? Any other practical steps you want to bring on board for couples and friends?
Sorry, I was unmuted. All right, so the practical step is just what we just started. The first step is to make those conscious efforts, and once you are with the person, you try to encourage. Sorry, once you are together, you try to encourage personal bonding and physical bonding, personal bonding, and then physical bonding. It should not just be about just talking and then sorry. Let me take in some water.
Okay, so Ariel, so let me come back to you then. Finally, do you think technology is helping or hurting the way we form and maintain real human connections?
Technology has a lot of benefits, but a lot of downsides as well. And like everything, too much of everything is bad. There's a need for a lot of balance. So technology is to serve a certain purpose. I think bringing a lot of information close to us, but at the same time, it is taking away human connection. I think technology is more about information. For me, go on all these handles just to get the information I want and I'm out. But when we get addicted to technology and all these apps, then it's really isolating us from human connection and contact. And so we need to become a bit so we need to outsmart the smartphone. Yes, that's what I've been saying. We need to outsmart the smartphone because the smartphone is gradually outsmarting us, taking away our human connection, and it's affecting relationship, it's affecting family. Even friends go out and all they do is sit in their phones, take pictures and post on status and forget to engage, to talk. And so technology has its I mean big advantages, but the downside is it's taking away human connection, and we need to look at that.
Okay, Daniel, are you still here with us? Are you
Yeah, I'm
okay?
okay now. Yeah, I'm okay
Okay,
now.
okay, good, good, good. So, are there simple daily habits or rituals you recommend that can help people reconnect and communicate more deeply in their relationships?
Okay. So the first thing should be that testing should be a secondary form of communication. Once we accept this, it kills the primary form of communication as the first form. I remember
Okay.
earlier this year when my mom was celebrating her birthday. I was in the same house with her, and then I typed the message to her. So just when I was about to send the message, I said, "Wow, but the person is here. I could just walk to the person and go and say happy birthday, pronounce these same blessings that I could pronounce to her on the text message or the WhatsApp message I was going to send." So it should not be our primary source of communication. Testing, if currently testing is your primary source of communication, try and do the reverse. Let it be the secondary form of communication, and let oral communication be the primary source of communication for you. Again, make sure you stay away, you learn to stay away from your phone for a greater part of the day, because what happens is when you keep watching on your phone, that's when it keeps occurring to you. Okay, let me just make this test. But when you make that conscious effort, okay, the phone is there during the day, I'm working, when I have this little time, if it is 10 minutes that I have, let me use that time, make a proper full conversation, rather than just being a text message which you go back, come back, and it's even quite distractive, especially when you're at the office. So those are the key steps that you start. Make testing a secondary form of communication, and then try as much as possible to stay away from your phone as much as you can, so that the little time that you make, yes, it is quality time that you are spending with the person, whether on phone, whether in person, or whatever it is. And as much as possible, if you can, if the person is closer to you, I know especially those of us that stays in Accra, lifestyle in Accra is very difficult, that you sometimes have to walk to drive to people's house or pick a car to people's house to see them. But if possible, make it a personal visit. See the person, speak. And this is where intimacy grows. Intimacy does not grow on the phone. If you really want to bond with someone, it should be much more personal. It should not be on the phone. The phone should always be a secondary source of communication. And when the phone sets in, the first form of communication should be a call rather than a text message. And that's the key thing that is there. During people's birthday, special occasions, if you can, just be with the people rather than just sending a message, sending gifts. Because I know people who are in Accra here, their friends will be having birthday parties. They will just stay in their houses and then text them. Weddings, they will just stay in the house and then just send congratulations. It
Okay.
doesn't build, it doesn't really build us, it doesn't build society, it doesn't build even our confidence.
Yeah.
Because you should know one of the key things, as a way of developing your confidence is knowing how to speak to people. And once you know how to do one-on-one communication, it develops to 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. Gradually, you become an expert in communication. So even talking to people even builds our communication, and it is one thing we should encourage.
Okay, Ariel.
Yes.
Yeah. So finally, any advice to couples and friends?
Relationship is something you work towards. You don't leave it to grow or mature on its own automatically. It's something you consciously have to have a structure or a plan or an intention. Let me use the word intention of how you want to cultivate the relationship. So wherever you are in your relationship, now whether you are testing is your second primary source of communication or calls or in person, you can always improve your relationship. That's the thing. You can always add on lifestyle choices, things you do, start going for morning walks together, planning things to do with family and friends, engaging, stepping out of your comfort zone. Like Daniel said, you can build your personal development and skill as well. So wherever you are, no matter the form of communication you use, you can always build on yourself, can always add on and intentionally cultivate a healthy relationship.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Ariel. So, Daniel. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So, any final words for couples and friends?
Okay, I think in summary, I still maintain what I said. We should make the conscious effort to speak to people, to make our communication more oral. The first method of communication should, as much as possible, be in person. If you are not able to speak to the person in person, make a call. Testing what's happening, any form of written communication should be the last form of communication, unless you probably want to use that as an evidence. And it is one of the only reasons that I would say, or the person is not available. But as long as the person remains available, try and see the person, speak to the person, look into the person's eyes and talk to the person. If possible, or if that's not possible, you make a call. Testing should not be our first means of communication. And from today onwards, we should make that conscious effort. It takes the effort, especially when you've done this over time and you've kept testing over and over and over and over again. You have to make that conscious effort. You have to make that decision that from today onwards, this is what I'm going to do. If you really want to get your relationship running and you really want to safeguard your relationship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. And Ariel, thank you very much for also joining the conversation. We've been discussing the secrets to stronger relationship. This has been the roundtable discussion, and we are going for a musical break. When we come back, we'll be talking about mental health with regards to men, and our guest will join us soon. Stay tuned to Z.
Obini manka walupa munkobi walutoma minyesi gabontobi ashade obini ma